Welcome to our Operation Firewall season talkback. Woo! Everybody, can you get
Woo!
Woo! In the
A big. Can I get a woo?
Can I get it? That's how we're all feeling after the end of this season. Oh my gosh!
Can I get a few?
Yeah, I got a few fews. Okay, this is our space to decompress, celebrate, and reflect on everything that we built together. Everybody, so we're not rolling dice or sticking to a plot. We're sharing what this season meant to you as players, as storytellers, as collaborators, which I truly believe everybody was, especially collaborators in every sense of the word. So let's revisit some of those big emotional moments, the twists that we didn't see coming. And the little things that stuck with us. So here's how we're going to run things. First, I will kick it off with a few group questions just to get us all in the right headspace. And then we'll go into a roundtable where each of you will ask 4 questions, 3 for each of the players, and then 1 for me as well. So also, listen, no pressure to be profound. This is just what stood out to you, whether that is a heartbreak moment, a favorite joke, or a scene that made you just go, oh shit. And I have mine, and it was the last episode, and you guys are all going to agree with me. But yeah, so, okay, does that sound good, everybody?
Yeah.
Really?
Okay, we are going to dive in. So, my first question for everybody, and remember, you can answer in any order, jump in if you have a question, is casual. But other than the obvious, what moment from this season hit you the hardest? Emotionally, narratively? Yeah?
I would say the moment Daniel killed that technician outside the sentry building. That was
mine.
the coldest thing of the series. I was like,
wild.
I was so shocked. My mouth hit the floor. I was like, oh my gosh. Well done.
That was the coldest moment. I was like, is this colder than when Arcturus betrayed everybody?
And I didn't even
It was
have
cold on a different level. It was like we watched that. It was the response of that's cold was different. Watching Daniel kill that guy, that's cold. Watching Vincent betray everyone, that's cold. It was like a different octave.
We were celebrating Daniel doing that. We were like, fuck yeah, Daniel, get him, sort of thing. We were in the background, we were all cheering for that too. But that was absolutely mine. That was, but also Vincent leaving Rhonda.
That was one of mine. But I could pick something else. But yeah, that was. Oof.
It was. I mean,
I want to say, and I think we talked about it in the last session, that kind of make it canon that he had just got the dog and was using it as a cover.
Oh, I totally agree with it. Oh,
it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. We're gonna retcon that for sure. That because it just makes so much sense that people trust people with dogs more. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
it's true.
Anybody have any other season hits?
We're talking mostly ones that surprised us. Is that right?
Anything hit you the hardest?
Something that I think was a little bit maybe low-key. I think I mentioned it after the session when it happened, but it still stands out in my mind as we're thinking on it. The moment where when Daniel got shot and was bleeding out, lying on the ground, and when Emma Jane was the one who was trying to find Daniel out of anybody in the group. I was not expecting it to be Emma Jane. And so seeing Emma Jane try to come through when it really mattered said a lot about Emma Jane's character. It was very interesting to me.
That's actually to piggyback that. I think a moment that stood out for me was a moment we were all stressed was when Emma Jane calmed down Rhonda. When we were literally under gunfire and explosions and we were trying to not make a noise, and the stakes to get the dog to calm down were so high. And just to see when I think of that moment when there's people with guns looking around shooting and trying to find people, some people are coughing smoke and everyone's freaking out and stressing this, and there's just this sort of striking hook of calm that Emma Jane gives to the dog to kind of, which I think carried into the next moment where everyone else was calm. And it reminds me of like thinking about like, how do you handle a stressed out dog? I'm like, well, a dog vibes with your energy. So like Emma Jane you came in calm. So then you calm the dog down. And it was a really cool, like power of stillness in a completely chaotic scene.
Yeah.
Where things are literally on fire.
I think with that whole episode too, I feel like there were just so many things in that episode where everyone really had like their chance to kind of like have their moment, and everyone really rallied around everyone as well to make sure they had that moment. And it's also something like not so much, I've never had that with a group before, but I don't think I've ever had it work so cohesively in a group before. Like there's always that sort of awkward like, it's your turn to sort of go, but it was really seamless. Like everyone was kind of like, I know exactly what you're trying to do. How can I help you like build that moment type thing? Like I just think like that episode in particular, like I was so in it too. Like when it was like, oh, you're in the tall grass and like there's smoke overhead, you can like, I was like, I can smell like the smoke from back then. Like I can smell it catching on the wind, you know, like I could hear like I was so in it, and I really felt like everyone else was in that too, like, and like the urgency of the whole situation, like that episode was, I think that whole episode was just
the whole episode from start to finish was like, because we had just ended the previous one, like you gotten kicked out of the church and you hear the cars coming, and so we all kind of knew like, hey, next episode is popping. It's gonna be
we were like at any point one bad dice roll away from a party wipe. We were like,
oh yeah.
And the way that hope can just be lost so quickly.
Yep.
Yeah. So it was that's why I love the game, that risk. I love the pushing and all that. Okay, so my next question, what theories or suspicions did you have along the way that ended up being right or hilariously wrong?
Ooh, that's a good question.
It doesn't have to be something that you're like, oh, I knew it, but you could be like, I was so wrong.
Okay, so I thought, I really truly in my heart of hearts believed Emma Jane was going to get the code, and she was going to like fuck everyone over and sell it on to like her contacts, and she was going to like, I fully believe, like I went into this like genuinely right till the end, like to that final episode, like fully believing like, yeah, I'm going to do it. Like I am, like I'm going to stick to it. Like I went into it like she's going to double cross these people. She's not a good person. Like she's going to do it. If she gets her hands on it, like it's her business above everything else sort of thing. And I could not have been more wrong. Like I really thought like she was just going to be able to sort of walk over everybody. I thought like, yeah, I just really thought that was something she was going to be able to do.
Had main character syndrome with that. So,
yeah,
you know
I really thought like, because she was like, I don't know, I feel like because maybe like she was not the most willing to be a bad person, but like on the surface she was like the worst person sort of thing. she was, I don't know, yeah, I just thought like, yeah, like I was so one track mind of like, she's gonna do this, like you just have to hold strong, like commit to it and you'll see it through.
And then what happened?
And she was not the one to double cross everyone.
Oh, we all know who that was.
Yeah.
To jump in there, I think the one theory that I had going was I thought that one of our consequences was going to come back in the finale to get us. I thought either Betty was going to come back with her boys and come after us. I thought that Littleville's angel was going to somehow get to us while we were sleeping or something and get to us, or Jimmy was going to come back because I let the fucker live.
Yeah.
Or I thought that Jorge was going to lash out because of how Vincent treated him and his mother. I thought that was going to come back and bite him. But the consequence that came after us was the one we didn't predict.
Because
there were so many great... Yeah, sorry, I apologize.
No, go.
I was saying there were so many great NPCs in this whole season, which again, Maya, that was incredible to have all these very developed characters, whether they were human or non-human. Like even from the first drone duck crossing thing. From there onward, it was just like, any of these things are capable of killing us, whether it's a big giant cosmic horror robot or just a pissed off woman with a gun. Both are equally capable of killing everyone, and they could come back because Each one of them was alive, and each one of them hated the majority of us. So that's where my theory went.
Okay. Anyone else?
I know a theory I got wrong was about Lysa's brother. Because the whole time I was thinking it was that initial drone explosion that he had been caught up in. I was like, oh, he has guilt for that. And I didn't know it was going to be the generator that he took out later. And I was like, that took me aback. I was like, oh no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
I think the only thing that this wasn't so much a theory, but like touching on, I mean, of course, the turn for Vincent, and we talked about this a little bit last time, is that there were at least one big moment, maybe a couple, where Vincent did something like, so specifically the one we talked about last time was where Vincent was tired and like pulled himself out of scenes to like sleep when the whole thing was going on with the church in Littleville. And I was like, I mean, I had played with you enough, Arcturus, at this point to be like, Arcturus is a really good player. It's a really strange decision for him to pull himself out of these scenes.
Yeah, he doesn't do that.
No. And so I was like, what is going on here? I didn't.
But still, that didn't
to-
like nothing other than like that question and nothing else like came
Because it fits so well with the character of just being this appearing to be like this carefree, like goofy guy who wasn't taking the whole thing seriously. Like, we didn't question it.
I think the other thing that kind of like the other moment like that I thought was weird was the way that you treated, or Vincent treated, what was the kid's name? Jorge, is that right?
Jorge?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the way Vincent was so like viscerally, I mean, truly just mean to Jorge. It both threw me off, and I was also like, there was a moment where I was like, oh, Daniel's probably going to be mean to this kid, and then Vincent was, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't need to double down on it.
Yeah. Yeah, basically. But that was another one where I was like, there's something that feels like I felt like you were trying to show some sort of like either inner detail of Vincent or some character development. I was like, what is it? What's happening here?
Oh, interesting.
I also thought that Elias and Daniel were gonna have like a struggle of like leadership. Like Elias was gonna disagree with the way Daniel was like leading the group, sort of thing. Sort of like where I don't know, sort of like where Elias was like checking people, like when he felt like they were out of line, whereas Daniel was super like, I don't give a fuck about like this interpersonal drama. I just want to get this job done so I can see my daughter, sort of thing. So I thought there'd be like this sort of interpersonal, but they really like sort of understood each other. Like they really understood that like their priorities weren't on the same thing, but the goal was aligned, and they had like this sort of mutual respect for each other with it, which I actually thought was better than like where I thought it was going to go. Like I feel like it might have been a bit predictable if it had been this sort of like, who's going to be the leader of the group, you know? I feel like that mutual understanding type, you know, like when the confession sort of came out, that where Elias was like, I knew you were lying, like that to me was like, oh shit, like what type thing. And I feel like that was even more like impactful than if it had been like a massive like blow up between the two of you, you know? So that was something I got like wildly wrong as well. So many things I was like predicted. I don't think I actually got anything right. Like if I'm being honest, I don't think I got anything right.
Then you were surprised the whole time then.
Yeah, honestly, the whole time.
It's probably
There you
good
go,
that
there
they
you
didn't then, because I think there was already enough tension. We don't need another
I
point
went-
tension. There's enough. We have enough.
2 out of the 3 of my party members had already attacked me. I didn't want to do the third one.
Yeah. It was good.
Yeah.
It was a good balance. It wasn't too much. Were you gonna say something, Arcturus, or no?
Huh?
Were you gonna? Did you have one?
Oh,
Or no?
I did just about Lysa's brother, just a
that
short
was it,
thing.
that was it. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, because I was always curious because he had the walkie-talkie, so I'm like, his brother's obviously passed, and it's probably connected to what he did in the past for Sentry. But I always thought it was the drone, and then having that contention, but I didn't think it was the generator. So that like added a cool depth to Elias's character that I really enjoyed.
Okay. Okay, so the next question I have is, what was your favorite piece of foreshadowing or callback that hit differently after the finale reveal? And the finale reveal is that Vincent was a mole the entire time. Is there anything... Is there a piece of foreshadowing, even if I had to explain it after? Also, okay, and I think this is appropriate. So I think I might add it in like the edit after this. But episode 3, Daniel says,
let me just say, Vincent is one person that I trust my life to, especially when it comes driving this thing.
So that was regarding, 1, just trust in general, 2, Vincent's car, which he sabotaged himself. Daniel had no idea. Todd, as a player, had no idea. That was just role play, and I loved it.
You know, you think about that, he didn't even love the car either.
He left it to burn.
He left the car to burn and get absorbed by that robot.
Also in episode 3, a little bit later, Daniel again. Gosh, he loves this guy.
You know what? Out of this group, just between you and me, Vincent, you're the only one that I trust here. The other 2, I mean, they're good at their job, but...
Yeah, I appreciate your faith in me, Daniel.
Just think about that, okay? Let it sit.
I'm just loving watching Arcturus's face right now.
Because I remember the feelings I got, like when you initially said that, of just this sinking feeling. It's like, oh, he doesn't know.
I love everything about that.
Episode 4, Elias.
You know who you are, Vincent? My brother had a term for people like you. You are the old reliable Elmer's glue, because and don't take that in the wrong way that you're sticky or anything like that, but you're like, you keep things together when they should be falling apart.
But I appreciate it. I've never been called glue before, but I'll take it as a compliment.
Calling Vincent the glue, keeping everything together.
I mean, he was, but it was not for the party. It was for himself. So it was still correct.
Just evil in its intent.
But then when we were all stuck in the glue, we pulled himself out.
Ooh.
So, thinking about that stuff, is there any piece of foreshadowing that hits differently after the finale?
Trying to think of the end of each episode, where we were.
I don't know if it's like the foreshadowing specifically, but I think it's the fact that like with those examples you've given, people saying like, you're the glue, like, I trust you. Emma Jane in episode 1 being like, don't fuck me. Like, everyone consistently underestimated him. Like, episode by episode, again and again, everyone was like, it's just Vincent. Like, oh, he's gone for a nap, that's just Vincent, sort of thing. You know what I mean? Like, we need to get something done. We'll do this, and then we'll go tell Vincent. Do you know what I mean? Like, there was just this and it was literally, like, I didn't even notice that we were doing it until right at the end, and it was like, oh my fucking god. It made me, like, I felt dumb as a player. And then I was like,
now I feel
tenfold.
I feel like you guys aren't going to trust me at all in other
never again. Never again. And I just feel like it was, like, so masterfully done, because I feel like and then when you put, like, sort of said, like with the car and that sort of thing, and leaving Rhonda, the way he acted with Jorge, like, these were things we all overlooked because
we were
like,
emotionally responding. Yeah,
because we were like, that's just Vincent. Do you know what I mean? Like we were just like, oh, that, like Vincent's, like, he has a lot going on, like, like, this is gonna sound really mean,
right into my hands.
Exactly. like we were just the way Arcturus portrayed Vincent was, Vincent's kind of a fuck up. Like, so we all kind of took that in the stride, like, oh, Vincent's kind of a fuck up, he just does that. So everyone just kind of sort of underestimated him and was just kind of like, yeah, he's just the driver, you know?
Did he see a fuck up, or did he
no, not at all. He wasn't. No, not even that. No, not even a little bit.
Some of history's best criminals played dumb.
Yeah.
Not even a little bit. Like, is ridiculous. So well done. Like, and I think like a lot of that is how Arcturus betrayed him, because I just in awe.
This one's a bit of a stretch. I was thinking when you're thinking about the end of episodes, one that thinking about it now is more thematically a foreshadowing. Elias, Daniel, and Emma Jane went into the church alone and then were condemned by the priest. Vincent refused to go into a church because he was condemning us. So like a weird thing of like, we were the only ones that were like in this thematic way condemned and branded and in danger. He never really was.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean that.
I don't know. That's just where my brain was
That's
like.
a good theory. It's all accidental. That was not.
Yeah.
planned. But it's all coincidental. I would say. But yeah, I like it. I like the sound of that.
That's what I was saying. It's a bit of a stretch. But I'm like, that's kind of an interesting thing to look at. Yeah.
Yeah,
it
that's right.
Works, so. It just accidentally works in a good way.
Yeah.
The one piece of foreshadowing for me was the boat. So like Vincent talked about like a fishing trip, and then Emma Jane kind of extended it to everybody in the car. But at the gas station, it just kind of shrunk to just, oh yeah, it's just me and Daniel. We'll go with Julia fishing. And then Vincent got on with the payphone with his brother and just became him and his brother. And I was just like,
ooh.
That part, I was like...
The fishing party got a smaller and smaller list.
Man.
Season 3 is Vincent on that boat alone.
Yeah. Roll for sadness.
Literally.
My depression meter goes up.
Your hope's -3.
I think that phone conversation that Arcturus mentioned, there were like subtle details there. Like I think there was some mention of, I can't remember if it was of Luther's his name, right? Your Vincent's brother, of him being sick or being cared for or something like that. And it was like, okay, well that was Vincent's motivation, was to protect or take care of Luther. So that was like a little seed that was kind of like dropped in there, that I guess not only were our characters were not privy to that information, but we as players were probably like, oh, his brother's sick, like that, that sucks.
Something wrong,
yeah.
That's why he's doing the job, to pay for it. Like, it's not...
Right.
There's nothing nefarious about that. Even when he was like, oh, I'm being watched, I thought it was mental illness.
Yeah, it's like, oh, he's paranoid or he's got some sort of disease. It's like, no, he was actually literally being watched by guys with a gun.
When he was like, oh, I'm sick, I think I'm being watched, I literally thought it was mental illness. Like, I didn't think like he was like physically, oh, there's layers.
I feel like such a little I guess I want to say dungeon master, but just like someone who's behind the screen, just like playing with you guys, like, hey, you don't know.
You were.
I've had a similar moment at the table with players playing a villain character, and I will share that another time. But it's the same sort of satisfaction when you watch the reaction we all had to that reveal. I've seen it in person at a table for this moment I threw at my players, and it's just like, it is priceless. It's a delicious cake.
It is great. Yeah, it's great. If we had one more episode, what would your character have said or done that didn't make it into the season?
So one more following the events of episode 6?
Yep.
Oh.
And technically, it would be episode 7. The finale is episode 7.
Elias would have gotten himself killed to make sure that Emma Jane and Daniel got away.
Sheesh.
He was at that point at the end anyway.
Yeah, he really was. He was really ready to end it all.
And he literally was at the point. He took away anything he had left to hold on to it. So it's like, he's going to make sure that these two have something to go back to, and he'd do that thing where like he would shove into the guards, let them try to run, and he would be the one that would get lit up. Yeah, that's, I think, and just shooting from the hip, that's what he would do.
Okay.
I mean, in her last conversation with Bolo, Emma Jane said that she was leaving plans for him. So she'd left like a contingency plan should anything go wrong. sort of thing. So like in her mind, like the business is sort of cared for. And I think obviously if Elias has sort of gone through with that sort of plan to make sure we've got with his plan to go boom sort of thing, and he was really the one sort of making sure like she wasn't using again sort of thing. I think she would have just sort of slipped back into old ways, began using again, sort of been like, what's the point? You know, like it's all it's like I've given away the business. The one person that like actually tried has like given up. So what's the point of it? And I think she would have just done that cycle until it eventually killed her. I don't think she was particularly like I don't think she was particularly stringent on how much she was using anyway. So it was in her mind a matter of time anyway.
You were at what, 2 bliss?
Yeah, like it was a matter of time for her, like anyway, like before it caught up with her.
A dreary answer.
Yeah, I think
very human. Very human.
Oh, yeah. I mean, 100% it fits. It makes sense.
Sorry, it's not happier, guys.
No, no, happy when it makes sense. She finds a hubby.
This campaign, you need a boat to have a happy ending.
Yeah, apparently. Boat and brother.
Daniel would have bought a boat.
Unsinkable.
Daniel would have bought a boat.
Oh. Yeah, I'm so torn. If there was another episode, I don't know what I'd do. A lot of options make me sick. Either going back to Julia to be like, oh, your dad didn't make it. And be like, he died out there. Like, horrible person energy.
Amazing.
Right there.
I love that.
That, maybe confronting Elias in the prison about the generator explosion and all that aftermath. Because I did write into his backstory, we didn't ever cover it, that Luther got caught up in the blast, and that's why he's in recovery. And then the third one is just go fishing with Luther and kind of internalizing what he had done throughout the season.
That's actually a good picture of like you and your brother, but you just a completely empty shell. And you're just like sitting there with a line, and there's just like this far off look in your eye. You're not happy. But you're free.
I've thought of a new question for Arcturus.
You're not incarcerated, you're not dead, but you somehow are inside.
Man, I think Daniel, the 2 things that Daniel wanted after being carted away in that Sentry van would be to get back to Julia in any way, shape, or form, and to get back at Vincent, because fuck you, Vincent.
Let's go.
Oh, he would have turned it to the Punisher for sure.
Yeah.
Would have certainly tried. Got blood on his hands already. He's gonna, just continue trying to, he would try to fight the guards, whatever he had to do. Elias might have made a situation to get out of there at that point.
I just have this mental image of Kath from season 1 and Daniel just teaming up to get out of prison.
Yes!
That's hilarious.
I just had an image of this post-season Vincent being haunted by seeing that drone that was on Daniel's keychain everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And because that was a whole big thing, and then being taken away.
I almost think he would take it. It was confiscated. I think he would have it on him.
Like a trophy.
Just hoarding everyone's personal items.
Yeah. Did he keep a walkie-talkie too?
Oh,
you might as well
go
all in, you evil.
Yeah, might as well. Can't sink below bedrock. Here we go.
Can't go down this.
The other thing is, I wonder if Vincent would keep that on him, or if he would return that to Julia.
Oh, that.
There's a trench in that bedrock.
I didn't see we could go deeper. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Yeah,
so.
I think. Oh yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Arcturus.
I think he would return it to Julia, but again, very, very much like, oh, he died, but he wanted you to have this type of thing. Where,
That's so worse.
I would have loved to have seen those rolls to see if she believed you.
Oh, that would have been cool.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, these games end, and there's always so much that happens after. These stories, like this, like the season is ended, but their story like continues on.
Yeah.
And you're like, dang, I wonder what they're doing now.
I think it's because they just feel so much more real.
Yeah.
Like they feel like real, actual people compared to like when you're making like high fantasy characters and that sort of stuff, you know?
You basically, it's because you are in a real world. There's no like you don't have feats or spells, or you have like special traits, but that's because you're like any person can learn these traits and be good at lying or shooting or driving and all that, building bombs. Like, and that's normal stuff that people can learn. So very grounded story. Okay, so let's get into the round table, everybody. So we'll start with you, Meg. Okay.
Sure.
You will popcorn it off to everybody after your question is asked. So, who's your first question for?
My first question is going to be for Todd.
Oh.
Okay, so Daniel starts out this journey, obviously, as a desperate father searching for answers, but he's reasonably level-headed throughout the majority of this journey. But by the finale, it seems as though he really is willing to do anything to get what Julia needs. Was there like a specific moment for him where something changed, or was it sort of like the dam bursting and it was sort of, it has to be now, everything has to be, I have to do whatever it takes? Was it like a slow build up, or was it just like a...
Ooh, good question.
Thank you.
That is a good question. I think I think a lot of it was there lying underneath the surface. So I think that it was kind of like boiling, but probably in the back of his mind, Daniel knew that he would do whatever it took. Certainly after getting shot, that's
what I was going to ask. Was that what?
That had a big impact on him, not only showing him his own mortality, but then like the idea of him, you know, in that way being killed, losing Julia, not being able to help Julia. So that was probably a big one. I mean, there were moments towards the end, like you had said that you thought Emma Jane was going to kind of like betray the rest of the group. The moment where Elias and Emma Jane were trying to get into that door and Emma Jane could not get that door open, Daniel was about ready to just tell Vincent to go around to the front and leave them there. So I think by the last episode, that was like fully the breaking point. Everything had spilled over the rim, and he was just like, I don't care. I will do whatever it takes.
For sure.
Okay.
For sure.
And who do you want to who do you want to popcorn it to? Or we can just do a thing where the person who answered asks the question.
Yeah. Pass.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah. Okay. So, Todd, you're up, buddy.
So let me give one then to... let's ask Arcturus. I think mine for you is in the form of a prompt here, but
Okay.
tell us about the times that you hinted at Vincent's secret mission and how you tried to keep the hints subtle enough so the rest of the group did not catch on too soon.
Okay. Definitely there's a lot of mask slipping moments, especially when we were exiting Littleville. I did have a panic attack because I felt like I was being a little too evil and foreshadowing that. But the first instance was definitely when he met up with those guys who went to rob him, and we saw that like personality shift. And his normal personality is that evil one, and he kind of has that facade of that happy-go-lucky person. And so that was the first instance.
Remember how we said we thought that
Nice.
was so cool, how we switched up? Remember, guys?
Yes. Yes.
And we're like,
Very much.
don't be brave. It's okay.
Meg's like, you're just driving the knife deeper.
Oh, and then for every act of sabotage, I did make it like a little bit more around just something weird. So for the car, he was hanging around the car very long, especially when he like didn't want anybody in the car. That's when he was messing with the battery and messing with the tires.
So good.
And stuff like that. And then, being tired, and as we've said before, being tired in that one scene. Especially getting up and being like, oh, what time is it? Just and rolling those exhaustion rolls in the background was yeah, like getting the first fail of that. I was like, oh no, that's gonna be bad. And then I was so scared that you guys were asking why I wasn't restoring hope with the dog, because the whole time I was like, I have exhaustion, I can't gain hope back.
Yeah.
So I was like, just hopefully nobody brings up that mechanic.
Oh, that was the whole reason we wanted the dog.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
Mechanically.
Oh my god, I didn't even.
Oh.
Got us again!
And then the last one would probably be when he did lose hope. I tried to frame that around his job, but used like the Mask of the Neurine. So it's like, oh, was this all worth it? This journey, this job? But he's still holding that Neurine caster because part of his job was confiscating that for Sentry. So I definitely wanted to factor that in as well.
So good. Oh my god. Headwinked us again and again.
Let's see. So this will be for Michael. So Elias struggles with anger and kind of keeping that controlled. So how did you factor that into your character choices throughout the campaign, knowing that he struggles with it?
So I actually had this. I had a conversation about those choices with Maia, where we were talking about how someone with anger problems can be very easily predictable with their choices if they just go to anger every time there's a wall.
Yeah, yeah.
If it's just I scream at the wall and I punch and kick and have a tantrum every time, it's A, exhausting, B, it's not narratively fun,
Yeah.
and C, it becomes predictable, and it's just like contrary to trying to tell a story.
Yeah.
So
I remember talking about that. Yeah.
yeah. So what I took from the notes was like, we're gonna choose these moments where Elias is going to snap, and I'm like, okay, he's gonna have a couple of buttons that if they're pressed, he's gonna escalate. One of them was his mother, which Betty brought up. Another time was when Vincent brought his brother up, and that confrontation happened. And like I think it got a little more strained towards the end. But even from his prelude, I was trying to say that Elias was trying to work on his anger, because it was his anger and his irrational choices that got his brother killed. So when he's saying I'm doing breathing exercises, I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do deep breaths, like that was a choice I made for Elias, and be like, okay, he's going to have like maybe 3 strikes with these people, 2 strikes with this person. And I sort of weighted in like that, where like, I guess even towards the end, he really didn't, it took a lot for him to even snap at Vincent. It was like, it would have had to taken something to the equivalent of a full betrayal for for Elias to fully snap to want to hurt Vincent. Even though he was punched by Vincent, he's still like, he didn't punch back.
So was one of the triggers bringing up the drone explosion and the generator explosion?
Yep, the generator, which is another a thing that even when Daniel brought up the drone, he has moved past that. That was something he let go of. The one thing he couldn't let go of was what happened with the generator. And so yeah, I think it was just more picking and choosing when would be the most like narratively satisfying, and also like human moments where he would actually pop off.
Yep. Okay.
I hope that answers the question.
Definitely.
100%. Okay. Michael?
Alrighty. I'm actually going to pass this to you, Maia. Okay. The world of the Electric State is dark, tragic, and yet is constantly filled with these little sparks of hope that try not to get snuffed out against the road. What about this game's world and themes keeps drawing you back to it to make more stories with people? Because this is now your second season being GMing it. So I'm curious to know, like, what about it gives you joy to kind of tell stories here?
Good question.
I like, as probably Meg realized, I like grounded and realistic stories. Like when I play NPCs, they all will reply realistically. Like if you're rude to them or if you talk to them in a certain way, they're all going to reply. They're not going to just let you walk all over them. And that's probably part of my personality coming into. But I want to keep everything kind of grounded and realistic. And I think that's what this story does. And also, if you just look at the artwork, it's so like titillating. Like you just look at it and you get, it's truly that phrase, a picture is 1,000 words. Like you're just looking at all of the art and you flip to every page and it's all a story. Like he didn't have to write a story alongside the art book, but like even that story is very good and tragic. but like you could just look and you're like, oh my god, what are these people going through, and like technology. And I like that, those kind of stories about the world and decay and collapse, and then how you still try to stay happy in this type of world. Like, what are people doing to continue to have hope and all that? So I like that. And even in the rule book, it says there's not much hope, but you as travelers are the ones who still have it, or still trying to find it at least. So I think that's why I keep coming back. And also adding in little moments, because like even in season 1, after they left that first city that they got stuck in, I forgot. Anyway, they got stuck in a city and they were supposed to leave. As soon as they left, they went to a gas station, and they just had like a very simple, like the lady was nice. They filled up their gas, and then Arcturus's character played with a huge drone in a barn. That was like the biggest, most stressful thing. But I was like, okay, because you got to have your ebbs and flows, you know. And so I wanted that moment with Betty at the gas station. I wanted like a woman who's like not weird or anything like that. She's just like fiercely protective of like.
Very human response. Yeah, very.
Exactly. So I didn't want everybody to be like weird or like Father Marcos and addicted, and it's just like a woman who's like protective of other women and
has seen this story before. Yeah.
So I like to add that in, just like someone who actually cares about Emma Jane. And I don't. I had been thinking, I don't think she ever feels this much, like this type of care. That's this type of love. So I wanted to show that to her character specifically, and just be like, here's a woman who like just genuinely cares about your well-being, and it's gonna probably. And you guys, you know, we played to find out, and then she brought out a shotgun, and it got tense. But like that's just how the cookie crumbled. But I like to inject those moments. But yeah, and I like this because like the mechanics get out of the way a lot of time. And when they do come in, there's not a whole bunch of math. I do think like math and stuff like that takes you out of it. There's a thing like in psychology where they'll be like, okay, count back from 30, you know? Because when you start to think about numbers and math, your brain is not thinking about your emotions anymore. And so that's why there are a lot of games when they're doing like horror or something, and then you're like, okay, so I need you to roll to see if you're stressed or something. And then you have to like have these numbers and modifiers. And then by that time, I'm not scared anymore. Like I've done so much math, my brain's not in it. That's why I love, what's the blocks? What's
Dread.
Yeah, that's why I like Dread, because it's simply like, you're just
the Jenga tower.
Yeah, it's just a Jenga tower, and you're so in it. That's why I think it's the best with horror. But that's why I like this system as well, because if you need to do something, you roll a pool of d6. Did you get any sixes? Yes or no? And then that's it. And there's no armor class you have to go up against, or these extensive kind of math problems you have to do. So I really love that, and how tension is a mechanic in here, not just a role play thing. And so, I just love that the mechanics support the type of story that I want to tell. Love that about Electric State, and a lot of Freely games, actually. So,
fantastic! Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I asked my questions at the top, so I don't have. But I'll popcorn it to Arcturus for your second question.
Alrighty. Let's see. This will be for Todd, because I'm very curious about Daniel's backstory. Could you give us a little info on the relationship dynamic between Daniel, Julia, and Ashley? And did that change before the start of the campaign, or was that kind of on a decline?
That's a good question. So that my thought about that was that Ashley and Daniel had already basically separated. Ashley was, I think Maya and I had a conversation about this like maybe right before session 1 or something, about Ashley also being a junkie as far as like the neurocaster and everything goes.
Yeah.
And so that kind of led to like, okay, well, that in my mind led to the decline of their relationship with each other. And then it's a sort of situation where the parents, well, of course, Ashley is like, okay, I'm not focused on the people outside of the neurocaster. I'm just focused on the neurocaster and that sort of experience. And then Daniel has his focus with work and his focus with his marriage falling apart. So he's not giving Julia enough attention either. And that translates into Julia being like, nobody's giving me any attention. I'm not getting, my needs met. Maybe I can escape through the Neurocaster. And then, of course, we had the role play of like Ashley trying to encourage the Neurocaster on Julia. And so, if Julia is seeing like, oh, my mother's doing this, like that behavior is okay. It's okay for me to escape and use the Neurocaster as my, primary life experience. And so pretty much most of this story was Daniel trying to, for Daniel anyway, was trying to rectify the problems that had been created as a result of his neglect and Ashley's neglect, and trying to just be a better father and help Julia in her time of need.
Wow.
Ashley sucks.
Real.
Add it to the list.
Add it to the list.
So true.
This character sucks.
Okay. Todd?
Oh, right. Let's see. So, who do I have here? Let's ask Michael a question. So, how did the death of Elias's brother affect him, and the decisions that he made taking this job and changing as a person along the way?
So, I guess I'll reveal this as a sort of a thing that I discussed with it was something that I spontaneously thought of when I was pulled into my private thing with me. Yeah, I was like, Elias's anger killed his brother. And the real story behind that is, if from the prelude, he had his brother and his mother were alive, supporting him after he lost his job at Sentry. What happens after that is his mother passes away from the illness. He mentions he doesn't have the money to pay for it anymore because Sentry no longer funds him. Sentry brings a generator near his town. Elias, in his anger, wants to go blow it up. He doesn't realize Wayne tried to go disarm it and blew up. The only thing that Elias could find left from the rubble was the walkie-talkie. And that's why it was like something he looked at all the time, was a reminder of, it wasn't just a reminder of, this is what happens when you lose it. This is like the cost of your actions based on your emotions. So anytime he's had a big emotion, like when he punched that guy in the prelude, when he got in Betty's face and caused that whole debacle, he went back to staring at that walkie-talkie and just talking to his brother and asking, is he a bad person? Is he going to lose it again? And so I think losing Wayne made him realize that his anger is going to get everyone killed. But there is still something good in him, because he still had people like Alice who cared about him. Daniel came and offered him a job. And I think he took that as a sign of, I want to do something right. Because literally that's all he had left. He had no one to come back to. So when he said that to Jimmy, being like, there's only one angel I'm interested in talking to, he really meant like, I want to do something right before I see my brother again. And that's kind of his motive force for this. And I think it was validated when Emma Jane casually dropped, oh, it's, Daniel's daughter's got this problem, and knowing the mission, that gave Elias, if anything, a reason to trust Daniel more than anybody in the trip. It was like, because family was such a big part of Elias's life, and he sees that it's a big part of Daniel's motivation. So it's like, I'm going to do this right so that someone else's family doesn't get destroyed.
Yeah.
So,
love that.
Yeah.
That's great.
Michael?
All right. Let me pull up my questions here. This question is for Meg.
Hey.
Your character's complexity lied in her excellent skills in building trust, fake or otherwise, to earn secrets and leverage over other people. In your mind, from beginning to end of this campaign, was there anybody, whether it was a PC or an NPC, that Emma Jane truly trusted? or was she or do you feel she was guarded? And did that change?
Ooh.
Because it seemed like it was like Emma Jane's professional job was to earn trust to then stick it to them. So I'm curious if she ever felt that for anyone else during the campaign.
Yeah, I think, like, because Emma Jane has always been on her own, like, she's sort of, like, drifted from groups and that sort of thing, but she never sticks around too long because it's just sort of, like, it's not her vibe. Like, the idea of being vulnerable, that's not, you know, but the situations that the group got themselves in, she kind of had no other option but to sort of trust these people. And I think after the way she riled Betty up, and the way the group reacted to that, because like everyone knew that she had obviously chatted shit to Betty about the group, but they were still willing to sort of like look the other way about it. That kind of she sort of like rethought a few things a little bit. So I think, but by the end, she definitely had trust in Elias. Like, she was definitely sort of like, I can, like, he at the very least is looking out for me in some way. Like, even if she was angry at him for destroying like the canisters of neurine that were left. And I think even with Daniel, it wasn't so much that she trusted him, because I think a lot of the relationship that she had with Daniel, like, she was sort of taking him for like a schmuck type thing. Yeah. But she knew that Daniel was smarter than the rest of the people that she dealt with. Like, she knew that Daniel knew that there was something going on, and she was kind of like playing this line with him, where they both kind of knew that, like, they didn't really trust each other, but there was some form of sort of like understanding between them. And she kind of grew to respect him. Like, she thought he was like kind of a schmuck, but by the end, she really sort of respected him and was like, you're doing this job, and you're keeping this in line. You're keeping the ship going. The only one she was kind of like, not even that she didn't trust, but she was just sort of like, not even why are you here, but like she was just sort of, again, it's Vincent. Vincent is Vincent, you know. Like, she was just sort of like, yeah, like she was like, because he was her supplier, you know. Like, that's all he was good for to her. Like, he was a means to an end to get what she wanted, and to her, that was all he was really good for. Which is why to her, like, at the end when it was sort of revealed, it was so funny to her, because like he gave her the most important thing in her life to her, like her drugs, and like, because she was so completely blinded by it, and at that point she'd been sober for a few days at least, she was able to have like some form of clarity and sort of look through it and be like, oh my god, like, I've been bamboozled by somebody that like I thought I was so much smarter than. It was not that, like, she didn't trust him, or she did trust him, but she was just so like, I am so much smarter than you. I have the upper hand in every situation with you, sort of thing. So I think like she had varying levels of like respect and trust, and I think respect and trust were very much like they mean the same thing to her. Like, if she respects you, it's as equal as trust to her. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Meg?
Ooh, who do I have questions for? Oh, Maya. Why not?
Sure.
You've spoken about how you felt that there was pressure of topping a first season of the Electric State. And how you've sort of reached out to, like, in regards to editing and and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
What lessons do you think were most important? And what I'm gonna restart that. Bear with me. Sorry, guys.
We're here with you.
Yeah, bear with me. What advice have you received, and what lessons have you learned from doing season 1 that you've applied to season 2 that you think have either made this a better season, or that you think have made this a better season?
It's a better season, I guess, in my opinion, just technically. I have a better process in terms of editing. I kind of I went a little hard on the editing in season 1. I realized that if I keep doing this, it's gonna burn me out, and I'm not gonna like it anymore. And so I kind of actually like reeled myself in a little bit. I'm still doing like some sound editing. I'm not going as hard as I did, because I was so ambitious in season 1. Because I just heard I heard Worlds Beyond Number with like Brendan Lee Mulligan. And so I go, can I do that? And then so I went really hard in season 1 and did my best, but I was realizing that, I'm gonna hate this if I can. And I like editing. I like the part where you're adding in all the cool sounds, and I even shared that sneak peek in Discord of that.
That sounded so good too.
Nightmare fuel.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that sounds sick. So I like doing that stuff, but I was realizing it's the edit where it's just there is a boring part of editing. I think everybody knows it. It's just it's the part where you have to cut out certain things. Somebody says too many times, or there's just the silence is too long, that stuff.
Yeah,
so boring. So this time I found software that helps out with that I didn't have, so that helps out with the process on the back end.
To follow from that, then, you've described yourself as a perfectionist. Maybe. with your series.
I am a
and you find it hard to reel yourself in.
Yeah.
I don't how did you know that you would make a better series by reeling yourself in?
Because I would be happier too as well. And I think if you're happier as the GM, then it's already a good season. Then you're having a good time. And I was happy with season 1, but I found myself more towards the end, oh my God, I'm gonna hate this. I'm truly, and I don't want to get there. But I just felt it creeping in slowly, oh my God, if I do this more, I'm just not. But I'm not gonna do it again. But I like this type of storytelling where it's super, kind of tight, and I have to be really specific about who I'm casting. That was another thing I learned. Casting actually taught me a lot with this season specifically, and you have to be really cutthroat. I think I already have my kind of, not boundaries, but I have a certain level you have to kind of meet me at in order to join my games. For these types of games with this editing and sound design and all that, I had to be even more cutthroat, and there was people who had joined the vibe check session or bought certain tech, and I felt bad, but I was oh, it's just not the right fit for this specific game, and it felt a little weird to be I'm sorry that you bought all this stuff. I mean, I didn't tell you to buy,
I get it.
There's some people who got really excited and they bought all this stuff. I'm oh no, wait till you're officially it.
But yeah,
I've learned also that I have to be really just super specific about who plays, because you guys know how kind of, is it high end or it's high production? You have to be super mindful. This is not a sandbox really. I kind of know the overarching. It's still kind of play to find out. I know the I didn't know that Daniel was going to shoot the kid in the head. That was the most shocking thing in this entire season. I've never been more shocked in my entire life. No one has ever surprised me like that. Ever. That was the first time. So
you've set the bar.
Yeah. Oh my God. So yeah, I learned that. People told me that. Remember why you started season 1, and you started it. You did it for yourself. You had a good time. Continue to do that for season 2. So I kind of was okay, yeah, you're right. To kind of take off that pressure, still have fun, put your passion into it, and so yeah.
And did you enjoy making this season?
Yes, I did.
Good.
That's good. But it's not just the editing, but the players are a huge part of it. So that's if you don't like the players, and then you have to go in and put time in editing, it's gonna suck. Yeah. So you guys, you guys really helped out with that. So you kind of feel proud to kind of edit and put in the sound stuff, because what you guys are giving as well is just really good stuff.
Are you sat there this is gonna go this is gonna sound so good, you guys? Sat there it sounds so good.
Another thing I learned is it's okay to cut out certain moments that don't push the story forward. I message Arturus and I go, when you were mean to the old man at Newberry Springs, I'm gonna cut that out. It didn't move the story forward.
Oh yeah, it was
going
so
a little
long.
too far. Yeah, I cut that totally out. There was a moment when Daniel went to go pick up get Emma Jane out of the hotel, and Meg went on for like.
Yeah, I went on for ages.
She went on.
She bangs into the door, and then she fumbles here, and then
I go cut. Like I learned it's okay to cut out moments and I started thinking more like a showrunner or just like an editor or a director or something in the sense that like this is not moving the story forward. That probably would have been like the cut scenes that you watch as like in the DVDs.
Yeah.
Those kind of like doesn't need to be in the story for it to work. So I'm gonna cut it.
Theatrical
learning
release.
about that too. What'd you say?
The theatrical release.
Yeah, that's still in the
Director's cut.
Give me the through line of the narrative.
Yeah, so I learned like what do I need to keep in order for the story to make sense. So don't need kind of 3 minutes of like ramblings or someone just being needlessly like mean. Yes. I think our turn was like we went so hard. I was like, "Whoa, okay, calm down."
Yeah, I was like, yeah, we
You had to let it all out. You had to let it all out. It had to go somewhere.
I was like, what have I created? But yeah, learned about that. Anyway, good question. Thank you. We'll go to Todd for your next question.
Let's see. So let's ask Meg a question.
Sure.
So, we didn't get to see, this kind of has two parts, but we didn't get to see much of, or even hear much of Meg's, like, history. So, Emma Jane's. What caused Emma Jane to become the person she was at the start of the game? And did you think that she would change for the better or for the worse by the end of the game?
Yeah, so I have the Emma Jane was born in the UK, hence the accent, and that I can't do the accent. And the age has kind of worked out quite well. So she would have moved across when she was like 9. Her parents were drafted. Like I had the idea that like the UK, like because the UK and the US have like a special relationship. Yeah. So like a lot of like UK soldiers were like drafted out to help during the war, and her parents like moved over. So she they emigrated. Her parents died in the war, and there were a lot of like makeshift orphanages. And she sort of like bounced around from like orphanage to orphanage. Obviously, they're makeshift. They're run by people who have also lost everything. Like they don't have the resources. And I kind of liked the idea that like there's not really anybody looking out for these kids, and it's impoverished kids the most who fall into addiction. And the idea that I quite liked the idea that Daniel working for Century, his daughter being addicted to the neurocaster specifically, like that's quite. I know everybody has a neurocaster, but when Emma Jane would have been younger, they would have been a fairly high-tech type thing. And I like the idea of canisters being what poorer people would have been addicted to. And they would have been in, I imagine, a fairly heavy supply that the poorer kids could have had easier access to. Yeah. So she was just a poor kid sort of bouncing around from orphanages who had easy access to these drugs, and she discovered that she was really good at pushing it. She was good at trading it. She was good at selling it. And she found that what people really, really wanted more than money, more than food, more than anything was information on what other people were doing. And because she was a kid, so she was around like sort of like by the time she was a teenager, she was really good at sort of like listening in on these conversations. She was good at selling this information on. She was good at sort of like trading those things. And it was something that like she sort of honed and built that like that skill up. So when she sort of gets this idea to sort of like go into and build these contacts, it's something she's done throughout her life. But as well as like building up that skill, that addiction has been with her throughout her life. It's all she's known. So again, like I said, like that addiction has been like a matter of time for her. She's always known it. She's always known that like Neurine is what's going to kill her. And I feel like she's seen people die from it. She's not so much had like best friends who've died from it or anything, but sort of people that she's seen in passing, you know, people that she's lived in apartment buildings with, like that she's like seen every day, that sort of thing. And then to answer your second part of the question, I do think that this group made her a better person than she was, because I do feel like that group was the first kind of community she'd ever really had, even though it was such a short time that they were together. I do feel like
But it feels like such a long time.
it does, and
like
I feel
a
like
full journey.
I feel like it was the first time she'd ever really seen people care about people who weren't themselves. Like, there wasn't really people having ulterior motives. So she kind of goes in. I mean, apart from Vincent.
Face again.
That's thinking feeling.
She kind of, and as my ear sort of said, like, Betty kind of went in really wanting to like protect Emma Jane, and Emma Jane weaponizes it immediately and turns it around to like benefit her.
Horrible person.
Yeah, she turns it around immediately to like benefit her. But by the end, like she's kind of like, the way she interacts with, I can't remember the clerk in the hotel, the way she reacts with him and interacts with him, like she's and she pays for Jeremiah. She pays for Jorge's room and that sort of thing. and she pays.
She zoomed out.
and sort of paying for Jorge's room and that sort of thing. I think had she spent more time with that group and really sort of like enmeshed herself, I think she would have become a better person. And I do think like she maybe even possibly could have she could have made a really good go at like recovering from her addiction as well.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
First time there's a little light.
Yeah, I feel like, yeah. And again, I've done that, yeah, that, like when she laughs at the end as well, like it's something Vincent took, you know, and to her it's just like, oh, of course he did, like, of course this didn't work out well for me, like, haha, you know, like it's just,
man,
you know.
Great
Yeah.
stuff. Okay, Meg.
Yes.
Who you got?
Who do I? Michael.
Ah.
Something I noticed about Elias is that he goes out of his way to help others, sometimes even to his own detriment. Was this something he did to redeem himself for his past actions? And if so, was this a conscious choice you made as a player?
Yeah. I think, again, Elias had no real attachments left other than like Alice back in his town. And I think just like Emma Jane, I think he developed like a small community with Vincent and Daniel and Emma Jane. And despite being going all bah humbug about it, he was all for keeping everybody together and helping everyone out, because he's only ever been around when he's not working. He's only ever been around family. So he treats everyone else like everyone's got to be protected. Everyone's got to be safe. And, you know, he was the younger brother. So he kind of, in my head, I think I made the conscious choice that Elias decided he'd be the older brother because he sees Vincent as a younger brother who is making mistakes. He's like, well, I can be the Wayne to his a lot to him. And we saw that played out.
Oh, man.
And, you know, and he wanted to try to make amends with Daniel, who he harbored so much anger for nothing that was within his power. And even when Emma Jane, like, inadvertently got him, like, again, a gun in his face, it was more like, you made a mistake, we're going to move forward. It's like, it's not worth holding on to, and it's better just keep moving. And yeah, I think it was again, not just because it was his dream to be a better person. I think just consciously, I think someone in that sort of rut where like the only thing that makes sense to them to kind of be a better person is to put others in front of yourself. I think it was just going to be like that the whole way. Even like when we said, you know, if the only reason Elias didn't blow up that entire room was because Daniel and Emma Jane were in there. The only reason he didn't blow it up.
Love that.
Oh, man.
And Michael?
Let's go to you, Todd. You experienced something no one else in the party really experienced during the campaign, and that was a potential character death. What was going through your mind as this character who was literally one or two rolls away from just being like mechanically gone? Like there was nothing we really could have done, and we were also far away from you. What was going through your mind as both the player and the character? And did you have any thoughts on a new character you would have to roll up for the following week? I'm just curious, because it's character death is so huge, and it's like, and I feel especially in a story like this, when it comes so unexpected, everybody's sweating. more so than they already are. So I'm just curious to know what was going through your sweaty mind.
My mind was certainly sweaty. Let's see. There was a lot. That's a great question. I mean, as Daniel, I touched on it a little bit, but it was kind of that like breaking point for him where he was so worried about like losing any way that he could help Julia. So he was, I mean, there was a lot of regret there. I think that the funny thing was that, I don't think I touched on this, but the funny thing was that I think even his comment as he was going unconscious was like something to the lines of, they'll get things sorted out for you. So again, that trust in like Vincent in particular. I think as a player though, I mean, I even said it for my wish at the end of that session, like, I hope Daniel gets out of this. Like, I really wanted to see the end of Daniel's story, and I would have been perfectly fine if he had died there. That's part of the game. But I think there was definitely more story there to tell for Daniel and for Julia in particular. I was definitely like, the wheels were turning for another character, a backup character, where I was like, it's going to be weird to introduce a character at this point, but there's probably something that we can do.
Yeah, that would have been a toughie.
He becomes Jorge, and Jorge joins the party.
Let's go.
You become the man who put you down.
Jimmy,
No, that was Jimmy. He comes Jimmy. Yeah, that was Jimmy. Yeah.
No, it was one of Jimmy's guys.
Yeah.
Jimmy said to shoot him, and he shot him. That would have been interesting.
Yeah, it would have been tricky. I think I had some scrapped notes for Daniel himself. I'm trying to look at them real quick. That just more where it was like Sentry was. I had some ideas where Sentry was specifically like looking for Daniel. I think Maya and I even talked about it briefly, but I don't know. I'm not sure that I had a good fleshed out concept for a backup. But if Daniel died, I certainly would have come up with something if that was the route we were going.
It would have been tough because I think that you guys had been through so much already. Oh, it's like weird to introduce somebody.
Right.
One thing about these games is that like we only meet for like 6 sessions. By the end of it, I feel like we've been playing for a full year.
Honestly.
Like we've been through the trenches. I don't know what is about this game, but it's like, woo. It definitely.
It's trauma bonding.
That's probably it.
It's a side effect of good storytelling.
Yeah, probably that too. It's a dash of trauma bonding.
Real.
Todd, you have your. I think this is everybody's 4th and final question.
This will be my 4th.
Okay.
I'm still on 3.
Arcturus,
you get all the questions now.
Did we not get to Arcturus? Did no one slap it over to him?
I mean, I can give him a question.
No, he has to. Ask your 3rd question. Then we'll get back to you.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
This would be for Meg, just because Emma Jane's addiction. What would you recommend to other players when role-playing someone with an addiction? Did you have to do any research?
I mean, it kind of helps that like Noreen isn't real. Because obviously you want to be like sensitive, because I'm not personally an addict. Addiction runs in my family, so I've been around addiction and that sort of thing. So it sounds kind of dark to be like, oh, I just looked at the people in my family.
It's real.
It is, yeah.
Very real.
Like my mum's a recovering alcoholic. Like I've had alcohol. Unfortunately, killed members of my family. So I've seen like sort of like whole different spectrums and that sort of thing. And I think being on like that sort of side of seeing like how it affects others, and it's really hard to kind of be like, oh, this is what I think about it. But like there is like that sort of selfish aspect of addiction. And though you're trying to sort of try and be sensitive about it, there is also that selfish aspect of it. And that was kind of what I tried to lean into with Emma Jane, where I was she isn't this nice person, and she does make these selfish things, and everything she does is to feed this addiction. That was that one facet I wanted to play into. And it's not that, like, I think obviously all addicts are these selfish, horrible people and they don't deserve help, or anything like that. But yeah, I think if you were wanting to roleplay someone like that, I do think, like, obviously research is something that you should do. But I think that is with anything that is like a sort of heavier topic, whether that's sort of like mental illness or suicide, that sort of thing. Anything that sort of like would warrant trigger warnings, that kind of thing.
And realize
and I
that
do think
emotional bleed is real too.
100%, yeah, 100%. And I think, like, sort of talking about it in session 0 with the people that you're going to be role-playing with as well, and letting them know that that's a factor of your character, that, like, you're going to be exploring, and making sure that everybody else is okay with that. And obviously, like, you guys were super great. Like, you weren't like, hey, why are you doing that? It's a detriment to, like, you guys totally understood it. You were totally, like, on board. You weren't like, oh, you're being you're being a dickhead for doing that sort of thing. Like, you totally understood, like, it was a character. And I think, like, as well, like, it's a lonely disease as well. So whilst there was that, like, sort of selfish part of Emma Jane, like, there was also, like, this really deep loneliness. So with that scene, it's really isolating. So with that scene where she had that, where she had that scene where she took the neurine, and the memory that she wanted was that she created for herself was to have people that cared about her, sort of thing. That was that sort of that balance that I wanted to sort of have as well. Like addicts are people. They are human people as well. So despite the flaws and despite everything, you know, they're multifaceted. So yeah, I think that's like the biggest thing to sort of take away from that if you are looking to sort of RP addiction and that kind of thing, is like, it's not just addiction. Like, there are like anybody, you know, like multifaceted, layered people. And it's not just like being a dickhead to be a dickhead, you know?
Yeah. It helps to have a table that you trust and a GM.
100%.
A GM who knows how to navigate that and to, especially in session 0.
Yeah.
Session
0. Yeah.
And then,
And I think as well, just having like a table as well, who like, it's big trust, big trust in the table, but it's also just like being comfortable with everybody for them to say like, hey, I wasn't comfortable with that, as well. Not that anybody did, but and I don't think like it would go there, but yeah, but trust is the biggest thing, I think.
Just to add on, because I think you can make that decision, but also at the same time, it's not just you who's making that decision. Everybody has to buy in and then go with
100%.
you along that. So it can't just be like, I'm going to play an addict.
Yeah.
And that's it. Everybody has to be like, okay, I understand that. I accept that. We're going to kind of like, you can trust us that we are going to roleplay and improv off of that. The yes-anding of it all, and not be like mean to you because you chose to make this decision or something. And I think everybody did well, just kind of going along with that story with you.
Well, I messaged my ear after the session where like it was like revealed to the group that Emma Jane was an addict, and I was like, I feel like that was like some of the best sort of like RP experiences that like I've had, and it was purely because of the way everybody interacted with it. Like, it was. I was like, I don't think I've ever enjoyed. Even it was such a dark moment as well. Like, but I've never enjoyed like an experience like that, and it was purely because of the way everybody else interacted and built off it as well. So yeah, having a really strong table that you really, really trust as well is
why I have to be like
part.
super picky about who's.
Yeah, it's the way all the answers tie into each other.
Yeah, to add that, I mean, you hadn't played really with Michael and I before that, so I mean, thank you for trusting us, and hopefully that all went well.
No, it did, and thank you for trusting me. Like, the trust goes, it flows, you know. So yeah, like, that's really long-winded answers. I'm so sorry, guys.
It's a great answer. It's a great answer.
I apologize.
No, you're good.
You don't need to apologize. No.
Okay, we're going to throw it back to Daniel, Todd, for your fourth question. Now this is everybody's fourth and final.
Okay. So my last one is for you, Maia. And, well, funny enough, you answered at least part of this, but I think there will be more. So what were the choices that we, the players, made in game that surprised you the most? And how did you have to change your plans to accommodate those surprises?
Surprises that you guys did? Oh, in that sense, the biggest one was literally that one at the end. But you guys were pretty, not predictable, but there was nothing that I couldn't handle and just kind of go with and improv off of. The biggest one was you shooting the kid. But even then, I just had to get over that initial shock. And, okay, we're back in it. Let's go. So really, it's just like, okay, just give me a second. I think it took me a second. I didn't know what to say after that. I was like, okay, I want to continue now. But like, I don't want, you know how it's like, you can't have anything kind of hinge on one person. Like, clues need to be movable and all that good stuff. I mean, if Arcturus for some reason had to drop, it would ruin the campaign. It would have ruined the series. I'm glad he didn't get sick or something. But usually I don't hinge everything off of like one person and try to make everything movable. So even if you guys did do something crazy that I just didn't expect and it totally ruins, well, you guys didn't do that. And I think because you guys know that, you guys know where the story's going. And you know that's like collaboration, and nobody's gonna be like, well, I'm gonna go to this city that's 5 miles out that has nothing to do with where we're going. Like, you guys kind of know, like, listen, get in the car. We're going to Pacifica. We're not going to Vegas to the slots or anything. So you guys are good players in the sense that like nobody was just so off the rails. So I guess that's a good thing. So, but I mean, the biggest shock was you shooting that. I was like, what? He had more information. Oh God.
It was so real though. It was so like, I totally, fucking would have done that.
We were all gagged. Yeah.
That was a good moment. I wish we were recording like visuals because oh my God. Oh my God, that was crazy. There was a few moments where I wish visuals were in it. Another one was when Emma Jane was lying about like riding with like bad people, and I was just like, I can't believe she's doing this.
Oh man!
And then of course, the twist at the end. Just seeing his face when Vincent's like, I miss this or something. I didn't tell Arcturus to say that. Like he added it on. I was like, this is great.
Riding that high.
But yeah, you guys didn't shock me too much because you guys are good players. Okay, who do you want to pass it on to, Todd?
Oh, right.
Actually, you toss it to me. I'll toss it to Meg.
Okie dokie. Arcturus. Having played with you a few times, I know that Vincent and his motivations are a departure from the type of characters you usually play. So, what aspect of Vincent did you enjoy playing the most?
Ooh, I definitely very much enjoyed the flashback scene with his brother and finding that connection. And it's both sickening and fun to do that transition between the happy-go-lucky to his actual kind of evil personality. That was kind of fun, kind of building a foil for yourself. So I had a lot of fun with that. But
did you find it difficult?
Yes, especially for towards the end. I was like, oh no, because again, that session before the finale, I thought I was like, in my head, I was like, oh no, I went off the deep end. The cover's been blown. Everyone knows. So when we started the finale, I was just sweating bullets.
Yeah. Weren't we messing each other? We were like, oh my God. Oh my God.
Like, I went too far.
To know that secret group chat.
Yeah. Honestly. You should see our chats. Oh my God.
I think you did great. I had no fucking idea.
I'd like to give a shout out to Arcturus for taking on this challenge. He had no idea that I was going to present this to him. I had pulled everybody aside during session 0 because I didn't want it to seem like I was pulling anybody off and you guys get suspicious. Why is she just pulling off one person? So I said, hey, everybody give me a secret. I didn't need one.
Oh my... All that work we did trying to...
That secret defined me.
Hey, me too. All my character decisions, her giving away her money all the time was because she was like suicidal. Like she was. Oh my God.
Sorry, that secret was just so that it wouldn't be suspicious that I pulled a person to the side. I said, Arcturus, I'm going to present something to you, and I need a yes or a no, and I can't tell you anything else. And that's all I said.
Yeah, it was very
Wait,
ominous,
what was-
but I was excited to do it though.
What was everyone's secrets? Now that like.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What was yours, Meg?
Oh yeah. So mine was that Emma Jane was like passively suicidal.
Okay.
So like yeah. So like that was why she was like giving away her money all the time and stuff. Like so she knew that like and like she had the like plan already for Bolo at the end and that sort of thing because like she was kind of like yeah I'm at the end now that sort of thing. So yeah, hers was that she was like passively suicidal.
Do you guys remember your secret? I mean, we know Vincent's secret.
Yeah, I wonder what that was.
No, Elias's was that he was directly responsible for his brother's death.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
That was
It did define you. Oh, I guess the
Yeah.
secrets did help.
Yeah, he didn't, and nobody knew about clearly, like, and that was great that Vincent threw that at Elias at the end. That Sentry did know he did it,
Yeah.
but then nobody knew that Wayne died in the rubble, yeah. So
Do you remember Daniel's?
I was trying to go through my notes to find mine because I actually don't remember what it was.
Yeah. It's okay. It's okay. Another funny thing is that I go, you have to say yes or no, and I cannot tell you anything more because I can't spoil it for him. Because if he said no, I'd have to choose someone else, and then he would know. So I was like,
Yeah.
I can't tell you anything. I'm going to tell you something. You have to say yes or no. And if you say yes, you have to follow through. And he's like, oh,
That's so crazy.
What did you tell him that kept it like hush hush?
what did I tell him?
Yeah, what was the detail that you told him that would allow him to play and not know?
No, he played and he knew. He knew.
No, I mean, if he said no. So you had to tell him a detail without him knowing the full scope of what it was.
If he said no,
Yeah.
that's all I said. I said, I'm going to ask something of you, and you have to say yes or no. That's it.
It was very vague, so I was like curious. I'll try this out.
And then he said yes, and then the dam broke open. And I said, I have an idea for you to play a mole. And then I didn't give him like every single episode, but I was like, there's going to be points where you need to do subtle foreshadowing and sabotage. And I was like, don't kill them.
So stressful.
Like really ruin it for them. And then we finished that up, and then Todd comes in. He goes, "Listen, I'm willing to do anything." Like in his secret. After Arcturus, after me struggling to figure out who was gonna choose, I was like, "Okay, I guess I'll go with Arcturus. I'm unsure." Todd goes, "Listen, I'll do anything. I'll even backstab the entire group."
I will hand them over on a silver platter.
He's like, I'll even backstab them. Like, I'll do what I have to do. And I'm like, God damn it! Why did I ask you first? Like, I have someone who just presented my idea to me. I go, and I have to play it off cool. I have to be like, no, you don't have to do that.
And that's what started the group chat. OMG.
That is
I
hilarious.
think it's hilarious that he presented it himself. And I go, no.
So good.
Another secret.
In the end, I'm glad it was Arcturus, especially
It sounds
since
so stressful.
Arcturus had played with like Maya and Meg a little bit, so it was probably much better to have somebody in that role than somebody coming in new do that sort of thing.
But yeah, and I want to say props because he doesn't usually play these roles, and I know it was stressful. I won't ask again anytime soon.
It's all good.
Anytime soon, but I'll give you a break for a while.
He ain't no Bogo. Give me just Bogo.
Yeah, you stay happy and
Little do you know. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
You think he bulked up for no reason?
Bogo gets a gun. I've missed this.
This weight, it's familiar.
Man, the corruption has changed him. But he's kind of like Abby in The Last of Us. Like, there's a reason she got
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
For revenge.
For real. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
But yeah, okay. That was Meg. Your question to Arcturus, right? Okay.
Yeah,
Arcturus, your
That's all
fourth,
mine done.
Your fourth and
All
final.
right. This question will be for you, Maya. So, how do you go about
What'd you
designing a
call
religion? Oh,
What'd you call me?
what? Maya?
Arcturus, how long have you known me?
A long time.
Meg. Meg, do you hear this?
It's my year.
My
My
sorry,
eater.
Maya. Okay.
Are we-
Are we
Maya.
really doing that?
Maya. I apologize. Me pronouncing anything goes sideways.
Oh my gosh, Arcturus.
Arcturus, you're zooming out
I have
again.
the phonetic spelling literally everywhere.
Yeah, just scroll. I'll just make myself really, really small.
Really small.
So as far as like the luminaries versus Father Marcos and the angels, how do you go about designing a religious belief system and structure within the electric state setting?
Sick question.
Luminaries, that was based off of like a collaboration in session 0 with like Meg's character. I'd have to listen to session 0 again, but it just kind of came about. We wanted like a main antagonist and her son being taken or something like that. So that's how that came up. And then I have like a religious background, and we've all watched like documentaries on cults and stuff and that mindset. So that was easy to kind of get into that mindset. And I think I can play creepy very well. And so that was easy. But Father Marcos, we didn't get too deep into his thing. Like the Luminaries was like core to the season 1, but Father Marcos was kind of like a beat that you just had to get through for season 2. But once again, these people are kind of like, the electric state kind of changes you. You know, you put on this neurocaster and you have people who are addicted to it, and you see stuff in there, and there's like theories about an entity inside of the neuroscape. There's stuff like that too. And so like it changes your mind. So you kind of just have to get in that mindset of like, something's a little bit off. The electric state is about something normal. And then what is that uncanny beat that you can add in? Just something's like a little bit off. That's why I like when we did the, you weren't in it because I already knew. We did vibe check sessions and you weren't a part of them, but I just knew that if someone couldn't make it, I could just call Arcturus. So that's why you weren't a part of it. But there, in a vibe check session, I made a moment where there's like a guy, he was really clean. The only thing that was messed up was his dirty finger.
Oh, man, that guy.
by that.
Fuck that guy. Oh, yeah.
His arm kind of just goes around. Yeah, his arm goes around a woman's shoulder, and you just see those dirty fingernails on her arm.
Yeah, and that was like the first time you saw his fingernails too, when he put his arm around that woman. So he was doing like creepy behavior, and then you saw the fingernails, and that you're so good at doing stuff like that.
And he's as bad as you're thinking he is. Arcturus. He's as bad as
But I think so you just got to get in that mindset of like creepy pastor. The electric state has like warped their mind a little bit, and just get into that mindset. So that's what it is. Watch any kind of like The Walking Dead. I'm sure everybody has that. The Last of Us had that guy who liked Ellie.
Oh my god.
So just grab inspiration from those pieces of media, from the Bible. Bible has crazy stories. I read it before in the past just as like a crazy history book.
There's a really good Netflix mockumentary series about cults. I think it's called like How to Start Your Own Cult. It's narrated by Peter Dinklage, and he goes over famous cults through history.
Yeah,
and
that's really good, actually.
He parodies it, like he parodies them, being like, "Oh, Jim Jones was the one thing he did wrong is he let his pride get in front of him, and otherwise he would have had a great cult." It's like, but like it was also giving serious testimonies and things like what they did and the science behind it, but then like the weird neurological tics that every cult has and every cult leader has. So like, it's also Peter Dinklage is a great voice to narrate a documentary.
True.
Okay, so that was your final question. I will slap it on over to Michael. What's your fourth and final?
All right. Who did I not pick on? Arcturus. Why? No, I'm kidding.
Why? That's all you need to ask.
No, you've answered that plenty of times, and we don't need to do that. So I had an interesting creative question for you. We now, as players, fully understand the motivations behind your character. We understand the testament to both Vincent, the character, and to you, the player, to maintain this cover and maintain this secret throughout the entire campaign, regardless of what was going on between party members and between the world that was also just trying to kill them. But let's say that there was an epilogue, and Vincent could speak to each one of his former travelers within full safety of not being harmed. What's one thing he'd say to each one of them before never seeing them again? potential. It's just a creative thing. Like let's ideally think like those interrogation rooms, like behind bulletproof glass.
Yeah.
You can say what you want to say, and
They're not going to interrupt you.
Yeah, they can't interrupt because they can't hear you. Well, you can't hear what they're saying. They can only hear you. Kind of like a cool creative thing, like full leverage in your favor. I just want to know.
Yourself.
Yeah. I just want to know, like, wow, with that relief off of his shoulders, like he doesn't have to pretend anymore. He doesn't have to be nice anymore.
Mm-hmm.
What would he have to say?
What do you have to say? He did wrap up things with Daniel pretty well. I think if he met with Daniel again, in the sense of being evil and awful.
Oh, okay.
Like he's like, I'll take care of your family. Don't worry. Like this is a necessary sacrifice type thing. And that would be kind of the meeting would be that extended. It's like, here's why we did this, and we appreciate what you're doing by being locked up. So that would be Daniel. Be very, very evil.
Or giving him updates on his family.
Yep.
Sending him pictures
like, here's
Julia's doing great on the boat.
Oh man! Oh, that's so evil.
No, but again, like shoulders off, just full creative, like what your villainous epilogue would be to each one of them.
As far as Elias, it would definitely be talking more about the generator explosion, and it'd be a little one-sided because it'd be more Vincent just being like how that affected me, rather than Elias, and be like, this is what happened to me, my brother. I got into this situation because of you, and so it'd just be very much like kind of this more self-centered focus, and then pushing the blame onto Elias. It's like, if you wouldn't have done that, none of this would have happened. You guys wouldn't be locked up. And so like definitely like his empathy would not.
Everyone pull up Audacity.
This is actually a trick, Arturus. This is the opening to season 3.
Oh, could you
Oh
imagine?
my god. Oh my god.
Oh, and as far as Emma Jade, that ooh.
What would you make space?
Yeah, what would you say, you bastard?
Be like, it's nothing. It's just business, Like we when we traded Noreen before. This is a transaction, but you're just giving up time.
Oh my
For
god!
the greater good. You understand?
You are so good. You are so good.
Oh. And so he'd lean heavily on that.
She'd love that too.
I thought you were gonna
respect.
Yeah, she would. She'd be like, I actually respect you now. Like,
why did I think it would be like, oh no, Emma Jane, I didn't fuck you. You fucked yourself. Yeah.
While you're in a straitjacket, you're just like, respect.
Yep.
Wow. Oh, you're unreal. You're unreal.
Oh my god. Okay,
Cool.
Did everybody give their fourth and final?
Yes.
That was mine.
Okay. Okay, well, in that case, that will conclude our season 2 Talkback. Great season, you guys. I can't compare. I can't compare it to season 1. It's a different group of people. It's a different story.
It's a different vibe.
Yeah, I won't say one is better than the other. I think they're both great stories in themselves. This one definitely had a lot more just tension from start to finish. That one was different. That's the major difference. Just like, my God, like technically in the mechanics, you can only go up to 2, but I feel like it went up to 4 or something crazy. Like, I even said, hey, this is the Anime Beach episode, everybody. And 2 of you guys like punched Elias. I was like, what?
Actually, you just, as we were talking about this and thinking about that episode, there was one more bit of foreshadowing that I just remembered.
What?
I was taught when Elias gave the gun to Daniel, he said, I trust you with this because Emma Jane would sell it and Vincent would shoot you if someone gave you more money. Someone gave him more money or something to that effect.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what happened.
Well,
man.
Yeah. But then you went and, mob hit that kid with it, but
Yeah, execution style. Okay.
Yep.
That one. So great season, everybody. Thank you for being really great players. It makes my job a lot easier, as this one's a little bit harder than just doing regular actual plays that are live streamed or a regular game or anything like that. So you guys really helped out. There's a lot of good collaboration. With these games, I can't really say, so what do you do? Like, it's really a thing of like, I stop talking and you immediately take the reins and this is where we're going to go. This is who I'm talking to. And you guys really did that, worked well together. There's a lot of good teamwork. As a GM, really couldn't ask for anything more except for technical stuff I don't have to get into. But for the most part, great.
Perfectionist, man.
Yeah, no, that didn't come into my mind. I don't like absolutes. This is great. I'm excited for future games. This is a part of Maia's Game Room, which is like an anthology podcast. So it won't always be Electric State. It will be Orbital Blues, which is coming up next. And then Tales from the Loop type story, then Paint the Town Red. And so it's a whole bunch of stuff. But damn, do I want to know what's going to happen next with these people. Oh my gosh. Do you guys want a little snippet of where they were taking you guys?
Yes.
Yes.
Desperately.
Yes.
Desperately.
You guys really want to know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's obvious, right?
Yeah, but I still want to know. I want it canon.
I want a cannon.
I want it canonized.
They were taking you guys to experiment on you. They had new things that they were making, and especially with the code that they would have picked up from the kid who you shot, but you never took his code. You know?
We took the bag.
Yeah, but they would have taken the bag back.
They have all that.
Yeah, they took it back.
They
Yeah.
have all of
So,
it. You guys are
so,
the
like-
first test subjects.
So we would have been like in the Electric State forever. Constant urine supply.
I mean,
Emma Jane's happy.
Emma Jane's heaven.
She got a happy ending.
maybe not 100%, but definitely they're testing you and taking it off, putting it back on, seeing what right amounts to put people in, and seeing how it affects your mind and your body, and
Oh no, we were.
testing it to be just right so that they can really output it, and have.
Do any of you guys know SCP?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We were the secure, contain, protect. It's like a whole science fiction horror anthology where people create these like horrors.
Okay.
But there's the D-class people who are criminals, exiles, people who are disappeared off the streets that they experiment these things on, and they don't care whether they live or die. I'm like, guys, we're D-class.
Yeah, that's us.
Yes.
That's us. That's the name of our group.
The D-class.
D-class.
Oh, that's
Yep.
the title of part 2.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that is what would have happened to you guys.
Wow.
Maybe you would have saw Vincent, maybe not. But I know it's bleak, but that's what they would have done. But again, that is it for season 2 of the Electric State RPG. Thank you guys.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for running. It's so fun.
Yeah.
Excellent game.
All around great group. Okay. We'll see you guys for the next story.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Electric State Operation Firewall. I'm Maia, the game master and narrator for the series. This story features Meg as Emma Jane, Michael as Elias, Arcturus as Vincent, and Todd as Daniel. Please subscribe, leave a review, or even drop a comment if you're feeling generous. It helps out more than you know. We'll see you next time on the road.